Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Bobby Hams here with my review of Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. Now, when I first heard that this movie was going to come out, it's going to be a live action version of the video game, I immediately thought not of the great and wonderful and ultra powerful Mortal Kombat the movie, which was, to my knowledge, the only successful video game movie ever created.
Get over here!
No, I didn't think about Mortal Kombat the movie. I thought about Street Fighter the movie.
Of course!
And in my humble opinion, I think that Sonic the Hedgehog is the best live action adaptation of a video game movie since the first Mortal Kombat. And I give Sonic the Hedgehog such high praise as the best video game movie since Mortal Kombat because it isn't really a video game adaptation movie, unlike Super Mario Brothers with Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper. But Sonic doesn't fall into that category of just dumpster fire movies because I think that the storytellers and the writers had a good idea for a story that worked well by itself, and then they put Sonic into that story and then adapted some things from the video game. Like, for instance, Sonic grows up. Sonic is in a city called Green Hills, Montana, which is a throwback, a little bit of a callback, I should say, to the levels from Sonic the Hedgehog 1, the first Sonic the Hedgehog. And then there's also Hilltop Road, which is another callback to Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And other things like that with like the sound effects that he makes when he loses his rings in the game. You hear that in the movie. The whole purpose of the rings themselves, what they do, which was I think was pretty cool the way they made it work, because it kind of shows what they were in the special stages in Sonic 1, 2, and 3, what they did there. They incorporate that into the movie. So it made pretty good sense, and I really like that. Because the story was able to stand on itself without Sonic. Like, if you take another character from like another video game or something, like Samus from Metroid or Banjo-Kazooie or something like that, or Crash Bandicoot, and you put them in the place of Sonic, I think the story would, you tweak a little bit to like have elements from those games, but I think the story would still work as well as it does, because Sonic's adventures in the video games or the cartoons aren't the reason for the story. There are elements from there thrown into the story in order to give it a little bit of pizzazz and some uniqueness to it, but it isn't the main crux of the story at all. And some of the other nods that the movie makes to the games and the cartoons is that, Sonic eats a chili dog, doesn't sit over so well with him. And then the cartoon with Stephen Urkel with Jaleel White from back in the 90s, and the Saturday morning cartoon, and also the one that he did on after school programs too, where Sonic ate chili dogs all the time. Well, in the movie, he kind of eats a chili dog. He doesn't care for him very much, which I was like, that's pretty cool callback, man. I like that. I appreciate it. And then the reason why Sonic calls Robotnik Eggman, which makes kind of sense in this. So going to the characters themselves, Ben Schwartz is the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog in this. It used to be, like I said, Jaleel White in the cartoons, Urkel, and he's wonderful as Sonic. You can just feel his enthusiasm for the character. You can just tell Sonic's super ADHD. ADHD or is it ADHD? ADHD. Who cares? I can't sit still long enough to figure it out. Ben Schwartz's ability to exude Sonic's just like hyperactivity and the way he speaks and the way he acts. You can just hear his personality in Sonic, and it was really good to see that. And Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik, he's a super intelligent guy, and he's very condescending to people. He doesn't mind telling you how stupid you are compared to him. He will rub it in your face and then rub your face into the ground just so that you realize, yeah, you are beneath him in intelligence, and here's the reason why. You have your face in the ground. So he was really great. I love seeing Jim Carrey just about anything he's ever done. Ever since I saw him in Living Color, and then once he broke out in Ace Ventura, I've always loved him as an actor. He doesn't disappoint in this either, even as Dr. Robotnik, where I thought, honestly, again, I thought it's gonna be like, Street Fighter or Mario Brothers.
Go Goomba!
I didn't give them any credit, the writers any credit for crafting a good story. I didn't give Jim Carrey any credit for being involved in this. I didn't give anything any credit. And then once I saw that nightmare of a photo, that first trailer with that, yeah, I lost all hope in the movie. Oh, horrific. I think the movie would have suffered greatly because that first design was a monstrosity. it was something that you see out of like Hellraiser or something, you know, like when you solve the puzzle box, Pinhead would be like, hey, I give you torture and pain, but instead of like chains and whips and stuff, you know, he gives you this Sonic. So the plot of the story basically follows the plot of the cartoons and kind of like the games. So I actually never understood the plot of the games. I just knew that Dr. Robotnik had like a bunch of Sonic's like wilderness friends, like rabbits and stuff. And so you had to beat Robotnik in order to get them set free. So, but in the plot of the cartoon, Robotnik is trying to catch Sonic and figure out why he's so fast. And at least in the Saturday morning one, that's what it was. Because he was more, the Saturday morning cartoon was a bit more, I don't want to say adult, but it was more for teenagers. It was more, a bit on the serious side, where the one that was playing after school during the weekdays, that was way more slapstick, a lot more humor in that one. So the movie kind of followed the plot of the mishmash of those two cartoons, because in the movie, Robotnik is a very secretive government agent. He works for the government and the military. And Sonic, he is an alien. He's from another world. He's hiding out on Earth. He's been hiding out on Earth since he was a baby or a little kid, because, you know, warlords or whatever on his planet were trying to get him, because he's been fast since forever. He's always been fast. And so he's been hiding out on Earth in Green Hills, Montana, and he's kept himself hidden, but he's been kind of spying on James Marsden's family. He kind of feels a little bit of kinship with them. He's closer to them, but since he has to stay hidden, they don't know he exists until one night where you see in the trailers where he kind of causes this blackout. So the military gets involved and the government gets involved, and they get Robotnik to try and track down, you know, what caused this thing. And once Robotnik finds out, you know, Sonic exists, then he tries to find out why does Sonic able to go so fast? How does he generate this much energy? So that's the whole plot of the story. It's a very simple story. It's nothing too complicated that kids can't follow, and adults, you know, it's easy. It's very watchable. It's very rewatchable as well. It's a very fun movie to watch. I enjoyed myself quite a bit. And it's a buddy road trip movie with Sonic and James Marsden, in that Sonic needs James Marsden to get him to San Francisco, because Sonic has a thing he has to go get in San Francisco, whereas he has a thing he has to go retrieve in San Francisco. And he doesn't know how to get there because he's only lived in Green Hills, Montana, you know, since he arrived on Earth. So that's kind of the whole thing. And the buddy cop approach works very well with this, because James Marsden plays very well off of Ben Schwartz's Sonic. And then they both work very well off of Robotnik with Jim Carrey's like kookiness. They all work. The character interactions are all very, very well done. It's all very nice to watch. And speaking of the interactions, because I think it was live action, it worked very well in the movie's favor to have Robotnik be a human being and Sonic be a cartoon, basically. Because Jim Carrey does cartoon so easily. He's got a very rubber face. He can do all the expressions. He has all the mannerisms. He can do the physical comedy, and he can deliver his lines in such a cartoonishly evil way that plays very well when Ben Schwartz's Sonic is still about a literal cartoon. So they balance off very well with each other, which is kind of weird to say, but it works out very well for the movie. But they're not so cartoony that they become obnoxious. You know, they don't get to the point where it's like, where it's like Three Stooges kind of like just nonstop slapstick and things are falling down and, you know, everyone's an idiot, nothing like that. I mean, I wasn't expecting the movie to be as good as it is, which I can see why it's doing a little bit better than Birds of Prey. But I mean, that's an R-rated movie. It's way different audience. So it's not fair to compare the two as to why Sonic is making more money than Birds of Prey. Because like I said, there's different demographics involved. So Sonic the Hedgehog is a great family movie and I highly recommend it. I'm glad to see that another video game movie, even though it took 20 something plus years for another good one to come out. Even though it's not a direct video game movie, it's still a game. It's still a movie with some video game elements to it. And so I'm glad to see that they knocked it out of the park with this one. And also another shout out to the animators and everyone involved at Paramount Studios for turning this Hellraiser into a heaven sent gift in terms of the character design. So grab a chili dog and then speed on over to a theater near you to check out Sonic the Hedgehog. And stay until the tail end of the 16-bit throwback credit scene for an extra foxy scene. So that's going to do it for me. Like and subscribe if you like to be way past cool. And I'll see you in the sequel.